Hello and welcome to the Triathlon Dan YouTube channel. Welcome to the video that absolutely nobody has asked for, but just like I do at 4 PM every single day, you're going to get it anyway. Firstly, I can't claim full credit for the idea of this video. Thank you to subscriber Lee for sending me this idea. He basically messaged me saying he was looking forward to the YouTube Triathlon World Championships this year, and I didn't really know what it was, but it turns out the YouTube Triathlon World Championships are being held at the Outlaw Half Ironman on the 20th of June at Home Pierpoint in Nottingham. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean, there are a few of us with YouTube channels who do triathlon who are all doing the same event, hence the name YouTube Triathlon World Championships. So from the ones I know, there are 4 people in total. There might be some others who are doing the event who I haven't seen their channels before, so sorry if I've missed you. If I have, please do let me know down below. But I'm going to be focusing on those 4 athletes who I know, I'm aware of. I'm going to talk about their strengths and weaknesses. Main reason being, one of them is me, and the other 3 are that much better than me that I'm not in the same race as them. So whilst they might not want to talk about it online about themselves, I'm quite happy to sit here and stir the pot. So if you like pot stirring, stick around. So here we go then, let's get right into it. The 4 athletes are arranged in the most ginger to least ginger order. Harry Palmer, Andy Horsfall-Turner, myself, Triathlon Dan, and Will Cowan. Now I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview about each athlete, and then we're going to go into my predictions for their swim, bike and run splits, and then essentially who's going to win. Now, as well as these people competing, there will be many other elite or top end age groupers racing, so I'm not by any means saying these are the only people in the race to watch out for. There's probably a lot more, so sorry if you're watching this and you haven't been named. It's just because these have YouTube channels. Just try and kick off some online beef, basically. Let's go. Let's start with Harry Palmer then. I believe Harry is the youngest out of all of us. That's basically got one excuse in the bank for us already. He is a solid all-round triathlete. I don't think he has one sport that particularly stands out as like a massive weapon. However, he is a massive weapon. Like, he's just great all-round. And I think that might be like his biggest strength on the day, that he's not really got a weakness. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes. Now, there is a professional license on the line at this race. So if you win the Outlaw Half, you basically get offered an elite long distance license. It means you can be a pro triathlete essentially. Or if you're the first amateur on the podium. So if Jan Frodeno turns up and wins it and Harry Palmer's second, then Harry Palmer gets a pro license if he wants it. Now, Harry has had an elite long distance license in the past, and he wants it again. So expect to see him fighting tooth and nail for that. He's been in the sport a few years, great athlete. I know that he's been working particularly hard over the winter, so it'll be interesting to see how he goes. Andrew Horsfall-Turner, now he's a lot newer to the sport. He only picked up triathlon a couple of years ago. Before that, he was an elite long distance swimmer. And by elite, I mean like he was very, very, very good. 3 very, so you know it's good. So when we see him in triathlons now, he very often has a lead out of the swim, which is an interesting dynamic. It's the sort of thing that like Lucy Charles has, isn't it? So that's probably the only similarity between the 2 of them. But yeah, he's got a massive aerobic engine, so he's turned his hand to cycling and running, and very quickly has become a great athlete all around. Speaking of great athletes, Triathlon Dan. Now, I might have been doing this sport a few years, but my enthusiasm still outranks my ability. So I'm very much an amateur, very much mid-pack, so I will not be challenging these too much in any sort of discipline, but I'm going to give it a damn good go. Finally, Will Cowan, another athlete who has had an elite long distance license in the past. He broke his wrist and had a lot of the bad luck, so he didn't then retain his license. So also somebody else who is looking to do that this year, so this could be a real good head-to-head. Will, I think, is pretty exceptional running. Again, he's a super strong all-round athlete, and I think he's pretty strong on the bike and the swim as well. You get that just being a good all-round athlete, don't you? So interesting to see how he goes. But should we jump straight into it? Should we have a look at their swim? First of all, obviously they all have YouTube channels, so I will leave the links to their channels down below. Please do check them out. Let's kick off with Harry Palmer swimming. Now, Harry does have about 9,000 subscribers, but that's not going to help you here. So let me run through the times I've predicted for everybody. So Harry Palmer I've put down for a 27:30, so it's a 1.2 mile open water swim with a wetsuit. Andy Horsfall-Turner put down for a 24 minutes. Myself, nipping at their heels with about 35 minutes. I'll be happy with that as well. And then Will Cowan 27. So my thought process is Andy is probably going to have between 90 seconds to 2 minutes on any triathlete coming out of the water. He's just that level above. Even with the limited access to swimming they've got, he's pretty confident they'll be able to have a solid swim. Harry, I know, has been working particularly hard on his dry land swim strength exercises this winter, so I know that his swimming will be there or thereabouts. But Will Cowan is pretty much an elite swimmer. He's been in the sport a lot of years, so he can swim pretty well. So unfortunately, I put Andy out of the water first, followed by Will, closely followed by Harry. And then not so closely followed by me. For the transitions, I'll just put everybody down for 5 minutes. I think Will might take more time doing his hair than Harry will, because Harry's got no hair at the minute. But I'm just going to say 5 minutes for everybody, because I can't get into that. Onto the bike then. This is where the real race starts, isn't it? Is that what TO says? The swim is just the necessary transport to the beginning of the real race. So, kicks off on the bike. Now, these times, some of them are derived from how good I think that person is on the bike, but also some of it is how I think the race will play out. So, for example, Andy Horsfall-Turner might lose out to those people behind him because they will be able to work together and be in a group. So obviously, it's non-drafting, but even at 12 metres, you get a benefit. So he might lose a bit more time than they will because of that. So time-wise, I put Harry down for a 2:16, Andrew Horsfall-Turner down for a 2:13, myself down for a 2:14, optimistic, and Will Cowan down for a 2:10. So these athletes pretty much haven't raced properly for about 18 months or so now, so there's not really much form to go on, like for me to check it. However, Will and Andy did do the Outlaw X last year, so we're able to see that they biked pretty similar. I think Will just outrode Andy, but I saw Will's power numbers from that race, and they're pretty bonkers, hence why I've put him as having the fastest bike. Harry is a great cyclist. He rode a sub 20-minute 10-mile time trial last year. I just don't think he's quite the level that Will and Andy are. However, he could prove me wrong and get that done. I think cycling strength sometimes does come after a few years of hard training, doesn't it? And he's only in his early 20s, so perhaps he's still got a bit more to come. Now, you'll notice I have put myself down for a 2:14, indicating that I'll be in the mix with these boys. I don't mean that I'm as good on a bike as them. I know the course very, very well. I've done the event 5 times, and I know where to press on. I know where to recover. I know which bends you can carry, more pace around and so on, and that's worth a fair bit in itself. I did ride 2:18 a couple of years ago, so I was quite happy with that. But I'm confident that with a new bike, new fit, more power, etc., I could probably chip a little bit off that. So I see myself around 2:14, and I think that's the closest I'm going to get to these guys. So, the business end of the race. Let's look at the run, shall we? Now, the thing is, none of these guys are bad at running, myself excluded. So, it's hard to split them, to be honest, because it all depends what sort of swim and ride you've had. However, I've had 2 for the purpose of this video, so let's kick through it. Harry Palmer put down for a 1:17. I know he's had a little bit of a niggle over winter, so perhaps hasn't got the deep volume that he would have liked. Still a solid run though, and I don't doubt that he will run that sort of time. Andy Horsfall-Turner, now he's been getting better at an accelerated rate. So he ran, I think it was a low 120s at Outlaw X last year. So to see him go under 120, I wouldn't be surprised, particularly if he's racing for places around him. But I put him down for a 1:19. Myself, I did run 1:37 a couple of years ago, so maybe I'm being a little bit hard on myself. I might run a little bit quicker. However, it doesn't really matter when these guys are taking 20 minutes to help me on the run, does it? So there you go. And then Will Cowan, I've put him down for the fastest bike run split out of these guys, just because he's such a credible runner. I think he's ran... Oh, he's gonna hit me now. He ran 14:40 something for 5k or something ridiculous, or 15, some ridiculously bonkers 5k time, and that just translates to his half marathon as well. Coupled with the fact that he's been in this game a few years now, and he knows how to pace a bike, he knows how to pace a run. It's not very often he will blow up. He did outlaw half Holcomb a couple of years ago, and he was leading on the run until about 19k when Will Clark passed him. So he's got the credentials, and that is why I think everybody will have 5-minute transitions. That's why I think Cowan's going to come out on top. So he's my pick, 3:58. It might be a bit slower than that if transition's a bit longer, because it's going to be in the middle of nowhere thanks to social distancing. Closely followed by Andy Horsfall-Turner, and then closely followed by Harry Palmer. Not so closely followed by myself. I would love to be around there, but who knows. So yeah, that's my sort of, I don't know, my pick for who's going to win the YouTube Triathlon World Championships this year. But let me know what you think. You might know more about these athletes than I do. I only really know a bit about their performances, and obviously we haven't seen each other for a long time, so I haven't really seen how these guys are training. But I thought it'd just start a little bit of a discussion, make people aware that there is this sort of race ongoing. So hopefully on race day, if there were allowed spectators there, then excellent, people are going to be aware of that and be able to shout them on and that sort of thing. And I'll hear all about it when I get to the finish eventually. Okay? So that is it. Thank you very much for watching. Please do check out all their channels. I'm sure they will be putting some sort of race day video out. you can't wait to see the same race from 4 different angles, can you? My video will be slightly longer than the rest of them, given that I'll be out there longer. I'm going to try and play around doing more of this style video rather than just my training content, so let me know what you think. Let me know if this sort of thing like works, if people actually care or not. And I will see you tomorrow at 4 PM. Enough hand gestures. Laters.